Do you ever analyse things? Do you ever analyse the past, a situation that took place? Do you ever think about what happened and how you did something and how you regret that moment? And if you hadn't have done this, then that wouldn't have happened. And if you hadn't have done that, then that wouldn't have happened. Do you ever do that? Do you ever think, I wish I hadn't done that. If only I hadn't said that sentence, then that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have fallen out, and we wouldn't have gone to this, and we wouldn't have gone to that. All the little things, and then you go over it again and again, trying to work out something, trying to work out what, I don't know, but trying to work out if you hadn't have done this and you hadn't have done that, life might have been a bit better and things. And then you go over it again and again, and then maybe the next day and that night and an hour's time, over and over and over a situation. I'm interested to know what you think about yourself doing that, and I'm interested to know how you think, knowing the answer, if only, and you could go back and change that event. Don't you ever wonder or think about how an event in the past, do you ever wonder and think about how an event in the past that has happened, that you're part in, and if you'd done something different, then you could have been in a different situation that you're in now. And if only you'd said this, your part, if only you'd said that and only done this, then this would have happened and that would have happened, and this and all the different things would have taken place in a different way. I'm very interested to know how people think about that, and one of the reasons I'm interested to know why people think, how people think and feel about that, is because if any event takes place, any event, even if you go into a shop and say, "Hello, nice to see you. I'd like a tin of beans or something," okay, and oh yeah, here's that tin. I'll be back in a second. They're in the back, and she goes out in the back to get the tins. In that moment, okay, if the beans had been there already and you got them and you'd have been out of the shop 3 seconds earlier, a whole lot of events will have taken place in your life that didn't take place. You may have decided to go down this street or that street, and you may have walked into a different shop or met a different person because of that little 3 seconds. There's so many events within a day to analyse, to work out about how something has happened and how the history has unfolded itself. So many. There are so many events, in not only in your life, but in the person's other life. So if only that man who delivered them tins of beans had been there at the right time, and she could have stacked the shelves if the person hadn't come in the shop beforehand. There's so many events taking place. There's so many, not only a million, a billion, more than a billion, a trillion list of events taking place at any one time, okay, at any one given time, that it's absolutely impossible for anyone of our intelligence, anyone, Stephen Hawking, Einstein, all the greatest minds put together, times by 100 trillion, to know what any single moment, to unravel the complexity of any single moment, and how if only you'd said that, the events the day before, all the million trillion little events taking place at any one time are so complex in a moment, in a now, right in this very now. The complexity of this now is so highly complex, it can never ever be analysed, and yet we try to. We go back to an event and say, oh, if only I said that, or if only I said that, why did he do that, why did this do that? There's too many things happening in everybody's life, in the whole planet, in the whole universe, and a whole speck of dust flying across the sky, hitting a planet at a certain point to make it revolve, to do this, just knock on, lots of knock-on effects. There's so many knock-on effects in any given moment, highly unfathomable, that it's impossible to ever analyze and get to the absolute answer of any single moment. And yet we try to. We punish and beat ourselves up and live in the past and try to work hard at unraveling a situation. knowing damn well it's completely impossible to know the answer. We'd have to, in fact, if we were given the answer, if there was a God who said, oh, I'll give you the answer, I'll unravel it, here's the complex mathematical procedures that took place in that moment, we wouldn't have the brains to understand it. We're talking about a lot of events. We're talking about anything from as simple as a butterfly flapping its wing in a garden to be chased by a cat, who then gets chased by a dog, who runs across a road, who makes a car swerve and stop, who holds up the man behind, whose wife is having a baby, who knocks onto the surgeon who's going to help her at the hospital, whose wife is wanting to discuss her affair. You know, there's so many complex million, billion, trillion stories taking place in any one given moment. It's impossible to unravel any event from the past completely. Never, ever, able, ever. That is why they say history is being rewritten, because people will go back to an event, an historical event, for something that took place. Winston Churchill came out and he said, I will do this and we'll do that. Winston Churchill, 1942, said, okay, in that specific moment, beforehand, his secretary was a bit late because she was having to clean the brasses, you know, and she lost the thing, so she had to go around the shop to buy some Brasso, you see. Now that event knocked on for Winston being a bit late with lighting his cigar, and that meant that this happened and that happened. So, you know, so many events took place that the war went in that direction, all because she nipped out to buy some Brasso and was a bit late lighting his cigar. It's a very silly idea, but the complexity of how an event unfolds is far too unfathomable. I will work at that word because it's a good one. It's too complicated for us to work out. The complex weave and pattern of life is too intertwined and intertwined, and so complex it's impossible to work out any event, why anybody did anything. All we can do is look at the past. History, they call history is knowledge of the past. It's looking at the past. History is looking at the past, and if you're not looking at it in a calm, relaxed and interesting, maybe if they'd done that, if you're getting agitated and upset and depressed about the past, then you're completely wasting your time. You're wasting life now, right now, because right now is the only moment that you can ever feel and be in the moment of being in the moment of all the billion trillion events taking place. Meditation is the only way that we can be in the now and experience this now and the complex events taking place all around us right now. Okay, it's the only possible way we can experience the complexity of all these events taking place in the now. Having experienced all the little things taking place in this now, in meditation, all the time, practicing now, all the time, look at the past, but don't try to get involved in it and don't try to work it out, because if you do, you're a crazy dude. Believe me, the complexity of you having said or could have said this or could have wished you'd phoned this person, and if only you'd phoned them that, believe me, we are nothing. We're specks of dust in this almighty complex universe. We're specks of nothing. Not even dust, we're like dirt, dirty mud. Mud. We're nothing. If you want to be something, then meditate and be in the now. If you want to be in the past, then you're just crazy. Believe me, you're crazy. I've done it. You know, I've got the crazy certificate, but I burnt it because I don't want it anymore. I really do not want that crazy certificate in the past, the ruminating past. I've actually had it labelled. I was given medication for it, pills, you know. He ruminates, he goes into the past, he's crazy. And that's what you're called if you go into the past and ruminate and go over and over and over. You're nuts. You are nuts. I'm sorry to say that. You know, I might regret that. In 10 years' time, I'll look back at this video and think, I wish I never said that.